Hello and welcome to the Naturopathic Blog. My name is Jason Lee. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm inviting you to spend a couple minutes with me to go over some cool tips on health and wellness and some stuff about health. So today's topic is an interesting one because the time is actually perfect for this. It's all about seasonal allergies, something we see quite often in practice and something that's actually become very prevalent in Canada. They say as many as 10 million people in Canada suffer with allergies. It's almost like 1 in 6 Canadians, and it can range from a whole bunch of different things, from hay fever season to spring allergies to a whole bunch of stuff. One of the biggest symptoms that people have when they have allergies is runny nose, itching eyes, itchy throat, itchy ears, or chronic coughing. It can even lead to other more systemic symptoms such as headaches, intense fatigue, which is a big one as the immune system is fighting all these things. It drops your energy because it affects your adrenal glands. So people get really, really tired when they have allergies. It can lead to mood issues, lack of sleep because they can't breathe, which creates stress issues, and it just goes on and on and on. There have even been some patients who actually develop neck and back problems from chronic coughing and whatnot from the symptoms of allergies. So they can be quite severe. I remember myself as a kid in the 70s and early 80s suffering immensely from allergies. And at the time, not a lot of people had them, so it was relatively rare. And it got so bad that I didn't even use Kleenex. I used to carry on paper towels and toilet paper with me. Or I used my sleeve, as most kids do, and I was just constantly wiping and cleaning. And that happened basically right from spring. And for me, it lasted all the way till first frost. So it was pretty bad, so I know full well the pain that people suffer from when they have allergies. So I guess the big question is, what is an allergy, right? To summarize it really quick, there's so many definitions online of what an allergy actually can be, but I summarize it like this. An allergy is a really intense response by your immune system to something that's pretty much benign. So if I had a bucket of pollen, for example, and I threw it on somebody, they would sneeze, they would cough, they would try and get the pollen out of their eyes, and their eyes would water, and you'd have all the reactions that a lot of people do with allergies. That's a natural response as the immune system is trying to protect the body from things that are coming in that are going to affect it in a negative way. The problem with an allergy is that people will go outside and a microscopic particle of pollen will go into the nose through breathing, and it creates the same response. So it's a very intense response to something that's pretty much benign, like pollen. Most people go outside if they're not allergic, they breathe in the pollen, everything's fine. But if you're allergic, when you go in and you breathe that pollen, you're going to have a major, major reaction. So why are allergies so prevalent? Like, why do so many people have them? Because when I was a kid, I suffered with a lot of allergies. Now, mine had been suppressed heavily with steroids. I suffered with eczema, and there was a whole bunch of things that happened to me that really affected my immune system, causing me to have all these allergies. In fact, I was part of that allergic triad, which is basically allergies, asthma, and eczema, which is a skin condition. We'll talk about that in a future vlog. But I suffered a lot, but not a lot of people did. But nowadays, most people do suffer from allergies, not just from childhood, but you're getting people developing allergies later on in life, like adults, people who used to make fun of other people who had allergies for years, and all of a sudden they themselves are now suffering from allergies. And it's like, what the heck, I'm 40 years old, I've never had allergies, and now I have them. It just happened out of the blue. There are many, many things that can cause allergies, I guess. The biggest ones are lifestyle choices. Dietary issues are huge. Most allergy reactions that I've seen in practice are usually digestive issues, which seems very strange because some people say, well, I don't have digestive problems. I go to the bathroom. I don't have pain. You don't have to have an actual digestive symptom to have an allergic reaction to foods or to things that aggravate the body. The way it works is the foods come in. They're usually sugar-based, wheat or gluten-based, processed foods, foods with additives, just a whole bunch of different things. Coffee even can aggravate this as well. And it really irritates the gut. And as the gut becomes irritated, it becomes inflamed. When the gut becomes inflamed, particles start leaking through the gut. They call that leaky gut, or what they call medically semi-permeable membrane syndrome. When that happens, it irritates the system in general, and it fires up your immune system. So the best way I can explain it, it's almost like if I touch someone's leg with my finger, as I'm touching their leg, they feel me touch them, but it's not that big of a deal. There's not that big of a reaction. That's kind of how normal reactions are supposed to happen. But if I take my hand and I scratch my leg and I go to town on it and I really, really itch it, the leg's going to get irritated and sore. And now if I take my finger and touch it, I might have more of a reaction. It's like, oh, it hurts now. And it's not that I'm allergic to my finger. It's just that because I'm so irritated everything's reacting now. So even the pants I'm wearing could be bothering me if my skin's really irritated. And that's kind of what happens to the body. All these negative lifestyle choices we do irritate the body. And when the body becomes irritated, just like we are, if you have a bad day at work or whatnot, you become very irritated, you come home, you're more hyper-reactive, you're more prone to getting annoyed, more prone to, blowing off some steam in a negative way. And that's kind of how the body is. When it gets so irritated, it becomes reactive. And then we start reacting to a whole bunch of things. They can be even food-related or environmental-related. So we see all these kinds of things. People don't eat the right kinds of fats. We eat a lot of refined fats, a lot of fats from processed seed oils, like soybean oil, corn oil, canola, all these things as opposed to the proper fats we're supposed to eat. We don't eat a lot of fermented food in North America because people just don't develop a taste for that. Fermented food is where all the good bacteria comes from, so our bacteria counts go down in our gut. We don't drink enough water. That's a huge one. Dehydration is huge for allergies. The human body is like almost 80% water, and there are people that drink almost no water. They drink, in fact, things that are more diuretic in nature, like coffee or teas or juices or whatnot, but they don't drink water. There's a saying with water, it goes like this: dilution is a solution to pollution. So we don't drink enough water, the body becomes more dehydrated, and that aggravates, it concentrates the histamine and aggravates our allergic reactions. Environmental toxicity, now this is something, of course, it could be a whole vlog on its own, something we can't really control directly, but it's just pollution in the environment. That comes into our body and further aggravates the body. And then one of the last things, and it's a big one, is stress. The more stressed we are, the more it affects our adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is kind of like a general that controls the immune army. So if the general is weak, the immune army can't function properly and becomes more hyper-reactive. But think of it like an army with nobody commanding it. People are just shooting at the wrong things and firing the wrong way, or the horses are marching in the wrong way, and just things aren't working properly. And that's how stress affects our adrenals and affects our immune system. And when that happens, we become hyper-reactive to things. So allergies are prevalent now because of all these things in the environment. How do you know that your allergic symptoms are an allergy, not a cold? This is a question we get a lot because some people just don't know. There are a couple of things you can tell. Number one, there's no fever or muscle aches with allergies, right? Cold and flu, you'll get fever, chills, you'll get muscle aches. The secretions that come out are a bit different. With allergies, it's usually clear. With colds or viruses or bacteria, you get green discharge or yellow discharge. It's usually a lot thicker, so there's a big difference with that. The sneezing is different with allergies. They're usually consecutive. You'll sneeze once and sneeze again, almost like rapid fire sneezing. That's a bit different than a cold type sneeze. With allergies, you'll also get a lot of itching in the nose, itching in the mouth, especially tongue for some people can be itchy ears. And symptoms usually with allergies last longer than 7 to 10 days. So you just keep going on and on throughout the season. So let's talk a bit about, the seasons. This is a big deal. So allergies, there's a whole bunch of different seasons that people have. And depending on the season you get reactivity in, that can sort of tell you almost what you may be allergic to environmentally. So they kind of go like this. March and April is a big time for what they call snow mold, which is a strange one. It's basically mold from snow. It's a fungus that you see on grass. It's like this brown, patchy kind of stuff. And when the snow melts, this stuff goes crazy and it releases spores into the environment. And that can cause a lot of reactivity before pollen even starts. You'll start getting allergic. So if you start getting allergic, you don't see buds coming out on trees or whatnot, it may be snow mold. That's a big one. April to May, it's all trees. The biggest ones being ash, alder, birch, box elder, cedar, elm, maple, mulberry, oak, and walnut. These trees start budding and people start reacting. The tree season is relatively short, basically April to early May, but it causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. From June to July, we get all the grasses. So Bermuda grass, Johnson grass, Kentucky bluegrass, fescue, orchard, and sweet vernal grasses. Grass pollination season lasts a lot longer. It can be all of June and all of July. In this time, you also get dandelions. Now, dandelions are interesting because they have quite a few different flowering periods, and people that pull them out of their gardens know this because it's so annoying because they just can't get rid of these things. So they have a pollination period early in the season. They have one midsummer. They have one towards August, and sometimes they'll even have another one just before the frost, like almost in October. Those things will still be pollinating. So dandelion can be almost all year. One of the worst grass issues that you're starting to see now with allergies is genetically modified grass. Usually you can get these at, different home stores and stuff like that. It's a very deep shade of blue, almost like a bluegrass, and this grass is very, very bad for grass allergies. So it looks nice on the ground, but it's really brutal for your body. July and August we get into weeds. So the biggest weeds are alfalfa, cocklebur, plantain, nettle, lamb's quarter, Russian thistle, or just thistles in general. These are the things when you're driving your car and you look on the side of the road and you just see all these things growing on the side of the road. That's basically weed season. That's basically July and August. Come mid-August to September, or even the first frost, is the season that most people hate the absolute most, and this is ragweed season. So you got ragweed. And another one called goldenrod. People mistake goldenrod for ragweed. It's that one that's all yellow, really, really bright. People think that's ragweed. It's actually not. It's goldenrod. Ragweed looks a bit different. It's got more of a white flower. But either way, they're both nasty. So a lot of people really suffer from this. I suffered a lot from this as a kid. And I remember going to school in September and having to tilt my head back so the snot could run down the back of my nose because it was just so bad. Like I just had so much mucus. So I totally remember that one. Midsummer, when it gets really, really hot and humid, you'll get mold. And mold comes in many, many forms, but the two big ones are Alternaria and Cladosporum. Mold can be very, very bad for people. It can create reactions that are just as bad as a pollen reaction, and it can also create rashes on people as well. So we got to watch out for mold. It's usually found indoors and outdoors. Inside, you'll see it along windowsills. It's usually black. Outdoor, you'll see it just on surfaces. It likes to collect in moist areas, dark areas, things like that. But the spores are what aggravate people. So a tip, if you have mold in your home and you see it, I would definitely advise you not just washing it with a cloth and stuff because it releases spores. You'll breathe them in. Make sure you wear a mask or get a professional to come and remove it because it's not as simple as people think. It's not just something you wipe up and it goes away. You paint over it and it goes away. It can go deep into things. One of the things that's also, I think, aggravating or compounding a lot of allergies during the season is pollution. That's a huge one. Pollution not only irritates the mucous membranes as we breathe them in, it drops our immune system to allow the pollen to come in and cause more of a reaction. And you'll see this a lot because patients will come from Calgary, they'll come from Vancouver, they'll come from the East Coast, and they'll come to Toronto or Oakville or whatever to work. And they're like, I don't understand, I never had allergies. And all of a sudden, now I'm in Ontario, or now I live in Oakville, or now I live in Burlington, and I have all these allergies. Like, where are they coming from? And a lot of the times, the pollution that aggravates and compounds the allergy, making things a lot worse. So pollens can also stick to airborne pollutants, making them more prevalent in the body. And one other allergen that's often, not talked about a whole lot is dust. Dust is the kind of reaction you have all year long. So people are like, I have sneezing and congestion and phlegm, but it lasts all year long, even when there's no pollen outside. Even in the winter, there's a large chance that it could be dust. And dust can come from many sources. It can come from environmental sources like the carpet or furniture and things like that, or it can come from our own skin, which sounds a bit gross, but it's like skin dust. You'll see a large concentration of this in the bed, in your pillow, all these things. Skin dust can actually have areas where dust mite dander likes to live on there. So dust mites go on that, they produce a dander, and they can cause a reaction in your body, almost like pet dander. So that can be really, really bad. Things you can do to help. There's so many things you can do for allergies, and again, the information here is not intended to diagnose or treat, just more information only. But one thing for sure is drink water. I mean, people don't drink enough water. They don't like water. They don't like the way it tastes. They're like, oh, it doesn't taste sweet. I mean, we need water. That could be a whole vlog in itself. Most people are dehydrated. The more dehydrated you are, the more concentrated the histamine gets in the body, the more intense your reactions are going to be. So drinking water is absolutely huge. For the average adult, I'd say about 2 liters is 4 of those 500 ml bottles of water. And some people say that's a lot of water, but I mean, our body's like 80% water. We need water, so very, very important. Number 2, what you could do is apple cider vinegar. It is a fermented compound. It develops. Sometimes people don't like the taste of it. You can use that on many things, like salad dressings and things like that. But what I do is I put about a teaspoon in some water and just drink that before a meal. Not only does it stimulate digestive enzymes to help with digestive function, but it also helps to cleanse the body and also support digestive function. Remember, allergies, a lot of them are digestive issues. Reduce and eliminate foods that aggravate the body. The biggest ones, I hate to say because it's so prevalent, is wheat. Wheat is so modified in North America. It does aggravate patients severely. And again, I could do a whole vlog just on wheat alone, but wheat and gluten-type foods can aggravate. Dairy products are always mucus and phlegm forming. Most dairy in North America is pasteurized, which means all the enzymes are essentially destroyed and dead in it, so the body can't absorb it, and that makes the milk very phlegm and mucus forming, which can further aggravate allergies. If you're already phlegmy and mucusy from the allergies, and then you got this coming in, it can aggravate it. The number one thing, though, that aggravates allergies from a food standpoint is sugar. Like I said, the average North American back in the day used to take in up to 1 to 5 pounds of sugar a year. Now it's up to 150 to 180 pounds of sugar, and this is brutal to the body. This is one of the biggest aggravating factors of the body. It comes in not just in candies and things, but also hidden forms in juice and in certain condiments and certain things. It's really just a horrible thing, and people love sugar. They love it, and that's why they're so sensitive and so reactive. Their body's just so irritated. It's like someone's really irritated their body, and now it's reacting to everything. I also say eat real food. You know, our nutritional practitioner says this as well. What does that mean, eat real food? I mean, food that's not processed. Food that doesn't come out of a box that has ingredients on it that you can't understand, or sugar as a main ingredient. I mean, these foods with additives aggravate the body as well. So real food is, you know, you see the food, you chop it up and you put it into a stir fry, or you put it into things that go in your mouth. And that's really the key is eating real food, big time. Probiotic support also helps. Pro means good, biotic means living, good bacteria into the body. This can come in the form of good fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi or miso, or it can come in the form of actually taking a probiotic supplement. If you do get a probiotic supplement, it's important to get one that's usually human strain, because, you know, the body, most probiotics out there usually come from pork or porcine, or bovine strains, and they're different digestive systems, different acidity. A human strain probiotic is ideally for a human digestive system, so it helps the implant a lot better and confers more health that way. Number 6 is exercise. Our body is meant to move. Like, in general, we live in a sedentary society. When you move, it actually contracts the muscles, obviously, and that contracts the lymph. And when the lymph contracts, it moves and flushes the system and helps to clear toxins from the body. It also helps to stimulate and regulate the immune system. So exercise is really key, even if it's just walking. Any kind of movement is great. Additional supplementation can be taken. Again, this depends on the case, but I like vitamin D. It's an excellent one. Vitamin C. Quercetin is a bioflavonoid that's used to stabilize mast cells, so it can be used to kind of help with the allergic response. There's also homeopathic supplements that help to deal with allergy symptoms. Essential fatty acids are very important. But a lot of these things, I mean, if you're eating properly, you can get a lot of it through diet. Supplementation does help if a patient's very deficient, but if you eat properly, you can get through diet as well. But it all depends on the case. So hopefully you found this blog somewhat useful. For more specific testing, treatment, and therapies for seasonal allergies, please consult your naturopathic doctor. My name is Jason Lee. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you.